Proton Series 1 paddles have been catching players' eyes for a month now, partially thanks to their insanely bright color scheme, but more so for the long-lasting spin potential offered by their Nanotac surface material. Instead of relying on raised grit that will wear down over time for spin production, Proton's tacky high-friction surface grips the ball well despite being totally smooth. Series 1 paddles come in elongated and wide body shapes in both 11mm and 15mm thicknesses, and players can choose either the control to all-court oriented Type A polymer core paddles or the poppy power forward Type B Nomex options. Series 1 paddles are classic Gen 1 construction, a sandwich of two faces, a core, and an edge guard, and while Gen 1 paddles may not be the most powerful on the market, they are some of the most durable, making the Series 1 paddles from Proton some of the longest lasting paddles on the market for both core and spin potential. I've had the opportunity to play test all four Polycore Type A paddles for about the past month, and I can assure you that while some players will not like these paddles at all for being so different, in the right player's hands, the Series 1 paddles will be the favorite, if not the last paddle someone ever plays. Most important to mention at the start, all four of these paddles were heavy for their respective shape and thickness categories, with the thin square shape coming in at 8.0 to 8.2 for us, all the way to the 15mm elongated option, which was coming in closer to 8.5 to 8.7. Now, while the higher weight that's predominantly located in the head does create a larger feeling sweet spot and offer more power potential, players not used to it could struggle to keep up in hands battles unless they make modifications to lower the balance point. I ended up wrapping all of my Series 1 paddles with weighted tape on the butt cap to mitigate some of the sluggish response at the net and experience some great success. Let me know in the comments if that would be something you are interested in hearing a little bit more about. The Proton team mentioned a break-in period for these paddles, and I'm glad they did because I did not particularly enjoy the first day with them on the court. With a stiff response on off-center hits and a pretty mediocre experience with spin potential, I would have written these off a little bit too early. But even during the second play session, I found myself having more success bending the ball and playing my game. After about 2 weeks of play, or maybe 12 hours on court, the paddles have all come to life. I'm able to bend the ball more freely, the sweet spot feels larger, they're slightly more powerful, though definitely still Gen 1 paddles, so don't expect any wild power off the face. In the spin category, they bend the ball incredibly well, and I'm stoked with the idea that this spin is not going to wear down over time. Being a bit biased, I am loving the resurgence of the wide body paddle, as I believe players across the board can benefit from the larger, more forgiving sweet spot, and the square Series 1 models are no exception. The elongated models are great for those who prefer more reach and power potential, of course at the sacrifice of sweet spot size and some maneuverability for hand speed at the net. The decision between square and elongated will actually be easy for most players finding their preference. But I myself have a hard time choosing the 11mm or the 15mm option. While I love the 11mm pop and hand speed, on off-center hits I really don't get the forgiveness I need. And since I can manage the heavier 15mm model's weight, the 15mm square model is my choice, with the elongated 15mm option right behind it. Advanced players with the skill to find the sweet spot more often will likely prefer the 11mm paddles for their whippability and extra pop and feel. All that to say, I'd be happy to play a tournament with any one of these paddles tomorrow, and I'm excited at the prospect of not having to replace it due to a loss of spin before the next tournament comes around. You can check out the whole Proton lineup and a lot more at PickleballCentral.com.